Hi guys, just want to have a quick video regarding interviewing skills. So let's consider this interviewing 101. I'll keep it very brief and very basic. There are a few things you need to do when you are considering looking for an opportunity. You want to first have an updated resume, correctly format it, have bullet points, and also under each one of your job experiences, you want to elaborate on the work that you've done. Always include your name, your address, and an email and good phone number. Make sure that your phone number is updated. There have been cases where I have reached out to candidates and their phone number is disconnected, or their voicemail is full, and therefore we are not able to reach you. I'm a little different from most HR managers, recruiters. I will still send you an email. Some are not going to take that additional step in trying to reach you, so please try to be sure that you at least do include an email address that you check, and also your phone number, an updated phone number. Speaking of email, when you are looking for a job, you want to be sure that you're checking your spam folders, because there have been opportunities that have gone into spam folders and individuals have not looked there, and later, a week or two later, they're responding and it's filled. So keep that in mind. So you want to make sure you have a resume, it's completely formatted, it's free of grammatical errors. And then you are preparing yourself next to look for opportunities that are of interest. So know what jobs you're looking for. Make sure it's something that you meet those basic requirements for before you apply. Once you do that, make sure that you do your research on the job once you do get a phone call or an email asking you to please come in or please contact them in reference to an interview. So you want to make sure you research the organization prior to a telephone or in-person interview. The person that's interviewing you will expect that you've done your homework and that you know about the organization, what they've done, their products, their services. This is important because if you're considering a career and that's what they're looking for, someone that wants to be there long term, that has a desire to work for that organization, they know that that individual will know about the organization that they're applying with. So make sure that you do that. Also do a salary analysis. Make sure that you know what this particular role usually pays for in terms of salary. So usually there's a salary range that you want to provide. You do not offer this information to them. They will ask you eventually, especially if they're considering you. So it's very important that you have an idea of what salary range they normally pay for that type of role in your state with your experience. You can go to salary.com, Career Builder. There are several other things you can just kind of Google the role, the company, and salary, and it'll bring it up. And then when you do have that opportunity to speak about it because they have asked you, you don't bring it up, then you go ahead and give them a range. You want to make sure that you're in the right ballpark, because if you're too high, they're not going to consider you. If you're too low, they're going to actually pay you at the very bottom of that budget for that role. So definitely have that in mind. The next thing you want to do is to study. So once you have secured a date and time for an interview, you want to be sure that you study interview questions. Scenario-based are very popular, and they will ask you questions such as, tell me about a time when. Tell me about a time when you've worked with a difficult customer. Tell me about a time when you had a difficult colleague and how did you handle that situation. Tell me about a time when you had several projects and you really didn't have time to meet the demands of each one of those, and what did you do? So you need to be able to answer those questions because they're asking you that for a specific reason. So if you go to Career Builder, Monster, Indeed, there are interview questions that you definitely can look at and think about it. Think about your experience, think about times you've done that, because they want you to provide them with a specific reason, which means you may have to get a little creative. Sometimes you may have to make those up. Let's just be honest, because nobody's going to remember that. So get a head start on that. Do it over and over until you know it like you know your first name. That way, when you interview with that organization, then you interview with another organization, you have that information already in your head and it just flows right out. It makes it more comfortable for you. It makes it a very easy process and there's no anxiety. So definitely do your homework in terms of interview questions and answers. The other thing you want to do is once you know you have a firm date and time for an interview, you want to drive to that location so you know how long it takes to get there. You know exactly where you're planning to park. You think about traffic, keep all those things in mind, and then you're all ready to go on the day that the interview takes place. So be about an hour early. Give yourself some time to do just that. Traffic, just in case there's an accident, you're on time. Give yourself time to park and just kind of relax, rest, mentally get yourself ready for that interview to go in and get that job. So there's so many different things that you can do. Once you actually go in, make sure that you greet the receptionist or secretary with a smile, because a lot of times they're watching you. They have relationships with the hiring managers. They have relationships with the HR department and so on. In smaller companies, a lot of times that receptionist or secretary is somebody's mother or wife or whatever the case may be. So make sure that you are nice to every person that you meet. Always keep in mind that you have to remain a professional from the beginning to the end of that interview, meaning until you walk out that front door again. Very important, because they will try and trick you. They will try to convince you that, oh, we're just kind of relaxed here. You know, everything's fine. They want you to let your guards down to see if you know how to remain a professional at all times. Sometimes they'll ask you questions just to see what kind of reaction they'll get from you, to see if you can be calm and collective in certain situations, or if you just are high-tempered, or whatever the case may be. Again, the interviewer is not your friend. Look at it as a game. It's me against you. So you're going to challenge me, and I'm going to win. So always keep those things in mind. So once you do that, again, you are kind to everybody that you meet. You greet the receptionist. My name is this person. I'm here to meet this person, and I have an interview for this time. So then once a person comes out, you want to make sure that you greet that person. Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me. And then go do the interview. After you do the same thing again, thank you so much for having me here. I greatly appreciate it. One of the most important things that a lot of people don't think about is when they ask you if you have any questions regarding the process, or if you have any questions before the interview is over. You should have that. You should have that. So think about what you want to ask. One of the things that I would always suggest is asking them, for this particular role, what does a normal day look like in terms of processes and a work day? And let them talk. So now you have a little time to relax, a little time to kind of put things on them and let them talk about it. Another thing that you may want to ask is, okay, well, can you tell me what the next steps are in the process? Is this a new role that you are hiring for? Are you all expanding? So now what you're looking for is to see, did somebody have this role? Were they fired? Did they quit? Were they unhappy? So you know if there's any issues already going on. So there's a lot of things that you want to consider if you're looking for a career change and not just a job. So make sure that you ask those questions. Again, you want to ask about when they think they'll be making a decision regarding filling that role. And they may say, oh, it's maybe a couple of weeks. You may hear back from us, in a week or so, or a day or so. That way you know and kind of can expect when to hear back from them. Every single employer that's interviewing you is expecting you to have questions if you're really interested in that role. And so those are the three that I would suggest using if you can't think of anything else. Don't go too crazy. I've had people that asked way too many questions and actually pushed the interviewer away, and they just were not interested in them because they were asking just too many questions, and it kind of made them think, okay, this person is not probably going to be a good fit for our culture. So those are a couple of things for you to think about. So definitely, if you haven't done so and you're thinking about moving on to another role or in the workforce, go ahead and start working on your resume, making sure that it's updated, it's formatted correctly, you have your bullet points, you elaborate on all of your roles, you have all of your dates in place, you have your name, address, phone number. All of those things are listed there, and then free of grammatical errors. So very, very important. Cover letters are fine, especially if the organization is asking for a cover letter. By all means, if they ask for it, give it to them. Also, when you're applying for a role, be very careful. A lot of times there's questions that they include in the application itself, and when you answer those questions, the system can automatically take you out of that list because they say you don't meet those qualifications. So again, as I mentioned earlier, if you're very close to meeting those qualifications, for example, it requires a bachelor's degree, but you've had 4 to 6 years of experience but no bachelor's degree, that's equivalent. So be very careful in answering those questions, because you can be eliminating yourself before getting that interview. A lot of times those applications will also have questions that ask you about your salary range. Do not put open or negotiable. We don't like that. So be sure that you know and you've done your research so you can put a range in there. That's it for now. I do have a not-for-profit organization. It is called Image Transformers. I will include a link to that as well, because you're able to go on there and find a lot of the things that we discuss in more detail. I'm also putting job postings there as I see fit, or when I know that someone's looking for opportunities. I work with a couple of organizations, the Father Support Center here in St. Louis, Missouri, as well as I work with homeless shelters and other organizations, helping them to help build and coach and mentor and help with the resume writing. As a former college professor, business owner, and HR manager, I bring a lot of that experience to those organizations in hopes of giving back to my community. I also work with children homes. So as individuals are transitioning from childhood to adulthood and getting ready to transition on their own, I'm there to help with that. So hopefully this has helped some of you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them. Thank you so much and have a good day.